Many thanks for joining us. This is Qtv News and I am Ajibetu Drame. First, the main local, international and sport news headlines. The Fatou Barbara Foundation takes delivery of another generous donation of medical supplies from China. At a time when traders are looking to sell their livestock, this is the worst time to be dealing with a suspected livestock thief. After our special report yesterday about his funeral service, today we bring you another special report on the worldwide tributes paid to Gambia's greatest ever footballer, Alhaji Momodou Njie, popularly known as Biri. We hear about a financial presentation by Birkam Area Council to two organizations in the region. In international news, Tanzania's third ever president, Benjamin Mkapa, has died at the age of 81. Yesterday, we brought you news of mediation talks between Mali's political foes, brokered by 5 African presidents. Today, we find out what happened. Ethiopia and Egypt agreed to further talks over the dispute about who has rights over the waters of the Nile. And in sport news, CAF devises a new strategy for women's football across the continent. A football legend hangs up his gloves. We find out who that is. Those were the main news headlines, and now the news in detail. In local news, China's embassy in Gambia has donated medical supplies and sewing machines to the Fatou Barbara Foundation in the fight against COVID-19. Jenaba Sonko has more.
This is the 9th consignment of such medical supplies donated by China to the Gambia since the start of the coronavirus pandemic. The donated items include 10,000 medical face masks, 100 protective suits, thermometers and sewing machines. The sewing machines are for the local production of face masks. At the handing over, Ambassador Ma Jiang-chung says we still have a long way to go before the pandemic is eventually eliminated, and the process calls for stronger solidarity.
The whole world, including China and the Gambia, we are still facing formidable tasks of combating COVID-19 while stabilizing the economy and protecting people's livelihoods. I have shared with my friends here China's experience of effectively responding to the pandemic since it was first identified. And I would also like to express admiration for Gambia government and the Gambian people's efforts in fighting the COVID-19.
The Fatou Barbara Foundation decided to donate the medical supplies to the National Association of Gambian Nurses and Midwives and the Gambia Prison Services. The president of the National Association of Gambian Nurses and Midwives was there to receive the items on behalf of the association.
We want the Gambian healthcare system to succeed. We have to empower our nurses. If our nurses are left behind, definitely we will fail. As someone, a very important scholar said, if you come to the hospital, whether you know it or not, you are coming there to receive a nursing care. You cannot go through a health system without having contact with nurses. So if we empower them, and I want to thank the government and also the Ministry of Health for the support they have been providing nurses and also the moral support.
Ansumana Mane, the Director General of the Gambia Prison Services, applauded the Fatou Barbara Foundation for donating part of the medical supplies to the Gambia Prison Services. He added that the prison service is a very vulnerable institution as social distancing is almost impossible, but the use of PPEs donated by the First Lady will go a long way towards protecting prisoners. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenaba Sonko.
A suspected notorious criminal is on the run after allegedly stealing and slaughtering 2 cows at a secret location in Busumbala. The suspect is said to have sold the meat to butchers at various locations within the Greater Banjul area. This story by Lamin Dabo is narrated by Momodou Lamin Choi.
The issue came to light when a member of the National Livestock Owners Association reported to the association's security task force about his missing cow, which he believed to have been stolen at night in Busumbala. The president of the National Livestock Owners Association, Ibrahim Jallo, explains how the matter was pursued, leading to the discovery of the place where stolen cows and other ruminants were taken and slaughtered by the suspect, and the meat allegedly sold to either the butchers or Afra sellers within the Greater Banjul area.
Yesterday we received a complaint from our farmers. They have stolen some animals, but the team were able to follow the particular footstep of the animal until they find it on this particular area. When the team came, they find that this animal was slaughtered. They look at the height, the skin was put into a particular hole, and then they were able to bring that skin. But after removing that skin, they find there are a lot of particles or a lot of other remaining things. So these particular premises have been used for illegally for many things. One, they have been the particular person have been using it for livestock fattening. You could see the small ruminants here, and again using it for livestock slaughtering, and again for transportation, and hiding other unnecessary item here. So within these small premises, this guy was able to do his business here within the community.
The Vice President of Commonwealth Livestock Owners Association, Ali Cisse, says in the previous 3 years, livestock owners have faced frequent livestock theft, which is still their biggest challenge. Livestock owners and the herdsmen are appealing to the government to help make a stop to cattle theft in the country so that we can rear our animals without fear of thieves. At this moment, so many people have lost hope in continuing to rear livestock, and there is little trust between the livestock owners, their herdsmen, because of frequent theft cases. We will be very much grateful if these criminals are controlled so as to end the menace. The president of the National Livestock Owners Association, Ibrahima Jallo, called for concerted efforts to control the unfortunate incident of livestock theft.
It's an appeal to the farmers also to continue working very closely with the Gambia Police Force, and we see how best we can eradicate this, because the association have 4 pillars, and one of the pillars is animal security, and the animal security have been working very closely with the Gambia Police Force. We want them to help us to see how best we can do these issues so that we can able to mitigate this cattle rustling. At one time it was down, but now it is coming and again. So it's an appeal to the IGP and to all the security personnel in this country. Let them join together with this National Livestock Owners Security Wing, and we see how best we can address this issue.
According to the members of the Livestock Owners Security Task Force, the suspect, who is known to them, is on the run, but 2 of his brothers are helping the police in their investigations. During a raid at his house, 5 sheep were recovered at the suspect's house at Daro Busumbala. Livestock owners are urging the general public to be vigilant and report any suspected animal theft to a nearby police station. For Qtv News, I am Mahmoud Lamin Choi.
Football stakeholders, led by the president of the Gambia Football Federation on Wednesday, paid tribute to Alhaji Momodou Njie, popularly known as Biri Biri, following a state funeral at the Arch in Banjul. There were also tributes from CAF and FIFA. Momodou Gajaga tells us more.
While paying homage to Gambia's greatest football hero, the Gambia Football Federation President Lamin Kaba Bajo described Alhaji Momodou Njie as a man among men, a patriotic citizen and a philanthropist.
He was unarguably the Gambia's greatest footballer of all time and has represented our dear nation with sacrifice and distinction. He gave up everything to represent this country, Biri feigned injuries, took deliberate red cards, and used his own resources only to enable him join the national team for national duty.
In January, the GFF stated that the grass pitch under construction at the National Technical Training Center in Yundum will be named after Biri Biri.
In recognition of his decades of contribution to football and national development, awarded him the President's Award as the most outstanding player of the time during the maiden edition of the Gambia Football Federation Awards and Recognition Night held last January. Though it was a joyous moment for all, alas, he will not be with us when the Biri Biri Mini Stadium, currently under construction at the Gambia National Technical Training Center in Yundum, will be inaugurated.
Former national team coach Alhaji Silla also had this to say.
He's got talent, he's a leader, he is unique, he is able, he is a philanthropist because he's done everything for everyone. And he took out everything that he got in terms of resources, in terms of knowledge, and gave it out. He's left with nothing, but today we know that he's not wasted his time and his resources. This is what he's been paid for.
Bakari Jambe, the second vice president of Real de Banjul Football Club, says Biri Biri was a fatherly figure to him.
I grew up from where he comes from, near Perseverance Street. He was not only a big brother figure, but also a fatherly figure to people like me. And I was also honored to see him play football, both for his club Walidan and for the national team.
The president of Hawks Football Club, James Gomez, said Biri Biri is a legend and an icon not only for the country but for the whole world. Mr. Gomez went on to say that he has never seen a player who loved goal scoring like Biri Biri.
Today the Gambia is crying for strikers. During Biri's time, we had many goals because he was sincere in what he was doing and he loved what he was doing. Biri would play football in the morning and play football in the evening. Biri was never tired to train.
There was also a special message of condolence from Ahmad Ahmad, the head of CAF, Africa's football governing body. He said, "I was deeply saddened to learn about the loss of the all-time best player of the Gambia and the Sevilla legend, Alhaji Mamadou Njie Biri Biri in Dakar. I wish to convey, on my behalf and on that of African Football Confederation, our heartfelt condolence to his family and beloved ones." Gianni Infantino, boss of FIFA, World Football's governing body, said, "I would like to express my sincere and heartfelt condolence on the passing of former international player and Sevilla legend Alhaji Mamadou Njie, also known as Biri Biri. Words seem inadequate to express the sadness we feel for this loss. A true legend in Sevilla, where he defined an era, his legacy and achievements, and in particular his friendly personality and his human qualities will not be forgotten, and he will be truly missed." In conclusion, Infantino writes, "We hope that these moments and our words of support may help bring some peace and solace to this difficult time. As stakeholders in football and Gambians mourn and celebrate Alhaji Mamadou Njie Biri Biri, may his soul rest in perfect peace." Mamadou Gajiga, QTV News.
Birkama Area Council on Thursday presented a check for $160,000 to the Regional Community Development Office and the Regional Youth Committee of the West Coast Region. Lamin Dawa reports.
The event is in line with the Council's efforts to strengthen the development agendas of their local partners by giving back to the taxpayers. The two checks are expected to help the beneficiaries fulfill their objectives in their various development areas. The Chief Executive Officer of Brikama Area Council, Modu Jonga, explains the reasons that motivated the Council to pay out checks to the two beneficiaries.
This support will be able to ensure that the formations and the restructuring of these VDCs and WDCs are in line with the Local Government Act 2002. We will also be presenting a check of $78,000 to the Regional Youth Committee of the West Coast Region. Our intervention follows a request that we received from the Regional Youth Office with respect to the conduct of districts and Regional Youth Committee congresses as a requirement of the Youth Committee.
The Governor of West Coast Region, Alhaji Lamin Sane, says the checks will go a long way in helping the beneficiaries geared towards the development of their region.
We can use congresses to make sure that we have better footing for our movements, also for our development purposes. Because without ushering in at least very good positions or very good people within these kind of organizations is always a problem. So therefore, partner with the other council to give them that kind of support, I think it's very, very timely and also very, very important. The Local Government Act has indicated that each of the wards should have their ward development committee, also a VDC. Those are the entry points of development in each of the areas which we have here in the villages. Now, after setting up any VDC, they must go down through some training so that they build their capacities, they know exactly what are their mandates.
Fabakari Sane, the Regional Youth Coordinator of West Coast Region, on behalf of the two beneficiaries, thanked Birkama Area Council for the timely response.
Area Council coming to complement the effort of the Regional Youth Committee to make sure young people constitute their own representative, both from the district level to regional level, is very timely. So we thank them for this gesture, and it will go a long way to make sure the right procedures are taken, the right people are put into their position based on the will of themselves. It is not our role to decide who should come in, but to make sure the policy directives, the rules and regulations of the Congress is followed up from the district level to regional level to constitute their own committee to represent them for the next 2 years.
The West Coast Regional Youth Committee were presented with a check of $78,000 while the Regional Community Development Office were given a check of $76,645. The village development committees are the nucleus of the local government development structures, as they are the body in charge of the directly initiating programs, monitoring and supervising of their communities' activities and programs that are set up towards their development agendas. Therefore, revitalizing their structures can promote effective and efficient service delivery by empowering development agendas at both community and world levels. For QTV News, Lamin Alai Fandindabo.
We will go for a short commercial break. The news continues when we return. Stay tuned. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is QTV News. And now to international news. Former Tanzanian President Benjamin Mkapa has died aged 81 at the hospital in Tanzania's former capital, Dar es Salaam. The presidency announced Friday. Lori M. Kamara has more.
Mkapa was the country's third president after independence from Britain in 1962, ruling the East African country for 2 terms from 1995 to 2005. Mkapa is credited with ushering in multi-party democracy at home as well as working to end various conflicts in East Africa, leading several peace initiatives between 1995 and 2005. He continued to seek reconciliation in Burundi, Kenya, Democratic Republic of Congo, in the Great Lakes region. Mkapa was born in 1938 to a poor family in southeastern Mtwara. He earned a degree in English in Uganda and later worked as a journalist before being appointed the press secretary to the country's first president after British colonial rule, Julius Nyerere. He held several cabinet posts such as foreign minister and information minister. He also served as ambassador to the U.S. before he was elected president in the country's first multi-party elections. His presidency was marked by economic reforms such as privatization of state enterprises, liberalization of the economy. He also spent significant sums on improving the country's travel infrastructure. In his memoir, published last year, Mkapa wrote that the deadly shooting of some 30 opposition supporters imposed election rights on the semi-autonomous island of Zanzibar in 2001 was one of the black spots of his stint in power. In his televised statement, President John Magufuli said Mkapa will be remembered for working to end the conflict in Great Lakes. He went on to say that the former president will be remembered for his love for the country, hard work and effort in building the economy. The nation has lost a strong figure. President Magufuli has declared a 7-day mourning period in Tanzania, during which all flags will be flown at half-mast. Tanzania is an East African country known for its vast wilderness areas. They include the plains of the Serengeti National Park, a safari maker populated by the big 5 game, elephant, lion, leopard, buffalo, rhino, and Kilimanjaro National Park, home to Africa's highest mountain. The country gained its independence from Britain on April 26, 1964, when Tanganyika and Zanzibar came together to form Tanzania. Lord M. Kamara for QTV News.
Mediation talks by 5 West African presidents to achieve peace between Mali's government and opposition have ended without any deal on how to resolve the country's political crisis. Meanwhile, ECOWAS has scheduled a virtual summit to try and break the impasse. Mamadou Lamin Choi has been monitoring. Here is his report.
5 West African presidents are going home without reaching any deal on how to end the political stalemate between Mali's government and key figures of the June 5 opposition protest movement. The presidents of Senegal, Ghana, Ivory Coast, Niger and Nigeria visited Bamako to mediate in the country's deepening crisis last Thursday with an aim to resolving tensions in Mali. The presidential delegation will report back to all the heads of state during an extraordinary virtual summit next Monday about their mediation attempts. Muhammadu Isufu, president of Niger and one of the members of the presidential delegation and the current chair of ECOWAS, also told reporters that ECOWAS will take strong measures that will contribute to the resolutions of the crisis. Last week, in a bid to calm the unrest, an ECOWAS mission led by Goodluck Jonathan, the former Nigerian president, had proposed setting up a government of national unity to include members of the opposition and civil society groups. Also suggested by ECOWAS was the appointment of new judges to the Constitutional Court, which has been accused of favoring the ruling party. All these proposals have been rejected by the June 5 movement, the opposition, and they continue their call for the president to resign. Nothing has still moved the opposition, the influential Muslim leader Ibrahim Diko, part of the June 5 movement, told journalists after yesterday's meeting. Rioters quoted Niger's President Isufu as saying, "There will be no unconstitutional change of power in the ECOWAS region," marking ECOWAS' red line on the demand for President Keita to resign. For now, the stalemate continues, with no resolution in sight. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, Qtv News.
The Ethiopian Prime Minister is reported to have said that the first-year target for filling the controversial Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam has been completed. He made the announcement following a virtual summit with Egypt and Sudan in which the leaders agreed to resume talks on the dam. Momodou Mbodj updates us on this saga.
The agreement to resume talks was struck during a meeting of the African Union chaired by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. Previous AU brokered meetings had failed to deliver results agreeable to the three countries, and the US's attempt earlier in the year to mediate the situation had also foundered. The $4.5 billion mega project has been a source of huge controversy since its construction began in 2011, and years of negotiations have failed to reconcile the parties. Egypt accuses Ethiopia of what it calls an intent to exercise hydro-hegemony, which it believes would greatly reduce Egypt's access to water, while Ethiopia sees the project as crucial to its economic growth and energy needs. According to reports, when the dam is operational, it will generate 6,000 megawatts, making it the largest hydroelectric dam in Africa. It will provide power to some 65 million Ethiopians who currently lack regular electricity supply. Sudan, according to reports, has supported the project since 2012, hoping to reap the benefits of cheap electricity. The country has therefore long attempted to strike a balance between Egypt and Ethiopia. Egypt and Ethiopia are arguably more heavily dependent on the Nile River basin than any other countries. For Egypt, the Nile is functionally the only real source of water, but upstream countries such as Ethiopia contribute more than 85% of the Nile. Ethiopia, Sudan and Egypt have been negotiating for 5 years over the filling and annual operation of the dam, but they have not been able to strike a deal. And in addition to the water allocation issue, they have yet to resolve issues on drought mitigation and mechanisms for resolving future disputes. The Nile is 6,650 kilometers long and is the disputed longest river in the world. Disputed because Brazil claims that record for the Amazon River. It is one of more than 260 so-called international drainage basins throughout the world, where water and related resources are shared between two or more nation states. The Nile River Basin contains over 10% of Africa's landmass in 11 countries, including Tanzania, Uganda, Burundi, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Eritrea, and Kenya. Many of these countries, more than 300 million people, rely almost exclusively on the Nile as their source of fresh water. So, given the complexity of the relationship, what are the chances of an agreement? According to some experts, finding a way to equitably and reasonably share international waters has been the key to success. They point to successful examples where adversaries have turned into improbable partners for their mutual benefit. The Indus River Treaty between India and Pakistan has survived 3 wars, and the Senegal River Treaty has 4 countries share joint ownership of water-related infrastructure. However, others are concerned over the potential impact of climate change on the Nile River Basin and the rising populations of the river basin countries, putting more pressure on the demand for water. Transboundary surface water sharing is always fraught, but the EU and the international community must focus attention on a global river basin organization that could eventually embrace larger water and energy governance solutions. For QTV News, I am Mahmoud Mbodj.
We will go for another short commercial break. The sport news continues when we return. Stay tuned. Welcome back from that short commercial break. And in sport news, the dawn of a new era for women's football on the continent has come. After several months, the first ever CAF women's football strategy, the strategic plan to shape the future of women's game, has come to fruition. Momodu Gajaga has more.
The plan for an initial 4-year period, 2020 to 2023, is tailor-made, taking into consideration peculiarities of the continent, with a commitment to develop and take women's football at all levels to new heights. With the slogan, "It's time, it's now." The strategy represents the new identity for the women's game and will serve as a reference for the promotion and development of sports across the continent, and as a guide to success for member associations and other stakeholders. The strategy is to build on 5 main priorities, namely development, competitions, marketing, promotion, personalization, leadership, and social impact. It came after a series of forums organized by women football stakeholders in the continent, such as Women's Football Symposium in Marrakesh in 2018, Task Force meeting in Ghana, and 2019 rounded the meeting on a strategy in Egypt. Ahmad, CAF president, says, "Today is a historic day for women's football in Africa. The launch of the CAF women's football strategy is in line with our commitment to give hope to the youth across the continent and to develop women's football at all levels." Isa Johansson, chairperson of the organizing committee for women's football, says the strategy is a follow-up on the CAF Women's Football Symposium in 2018. "We have now established strategies and drawn up a roadmap which we believe will enhance the development of women's football on the continent in all areas and levels, from leadership, governance, technical, education, strategic partnerships, and grassroots." Desiree Ellis, head coach of South Africa's women's national team, says, "I am very excited with the CAF women's football strategy, which will definitely improve women's football on the continent and creating more playing opportunities for players. The game is evolving, and as a continent, we need to keep it up. Hashtag, it is time, it is now." Momodu Gajaga, QTV News.
Egyptian veteran goalkeeper Issam El Khadari, 47, has announced his retirement from football. He became the oldest player to feature at the World Cup finals when he played against Saudi Arabia at Russia 2018 at the age of 45. Momodu Gajaga has more on this detail.
The veteran shot-stopper made the announcement while appearing on TV on Thursday, indicating it is time to put an end to his football career. Al-Hadri says he has been forced to retire because of the wranglings and endless conflicts in the football fraternity. "Football is my second wife, and I have divorced it. I am not returning to play football again. The entire system has errors and clubs' heads attacking each other, and may God be in the help of these players," Al-Hadri said, according to Africa Sports. "There is nothing to add to my footballing history. There is no goalkeeper in Egypt better than me. I only sat on the bench in 1998 for goalkeeper Nader Al-Said," he added. Hadri had retired from international football last year after being snubbed for the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations edition. He has had a colourful career both at club and country, winning several titles. Al-Hadri had a long and illustrious football career, playing for the Egyptian national team between 1996 to 2018 with 159 caps. With Egypt, El-Hadri helped the team win 4 Africa Cup of Nations titles, being named the best goalkeeper on 3 occasions, 2006, 2008 and 2010. At Al-Ahli, he won 8 Egyptian Premier League titles, 4 Egypt Cups, 4 Egyptian Super Cups, 4 CAF Champions League titles, 3 CAF Super Cups, 1 Arab Club Championship Cup and 2 Arab Super Cups. In his prime, he was considered one of Africa's best. We wish him a happy retirement. Mamadou Gajaga, Qtv News.
Before we end this bulletin, let's take a quick look at our main stories. The Fatou Barbara Foundation took delivery of another generous donation of medical supplies from China. At a time when traders are looking to sell their livestock, this is the worst time to be dealing with a suspected livestock thief. We heard about one suspect on the run. After our report yesterday about his funeral service, today we brought you another special report on the worldwide tributes paid to Gambia's greatest ever footballer Alhaji Momodu Njai, popularly known as Biribiri. We heard about a financial presentation by Brikama Area Council to two organizations in the region. In international news, Tanzania's third ever president, Benjamin Mkapa, has died. Yesterday, we brought you news of mediation talks between Mali's political foes, brokered by 5 African presidents. Today, we find out what happened. And in sport news, CAF devises a new strategy for women's football across the continent. A football legend hangs up his gloves. We find out who that is. That's all we have for you in this bulletin. Thanks for watching and join us tomorrow for another bulletin. Stay tuned.